Introducing the AI Accountant app for Business Central. Hey, I'm Eric, and everybody's hard at work on AI stuff, including me. And here is my first AI focused app, and this is the AI Accountant. And the backstory is kind of interesting. I've been working on a lot of different approaches, including an AI for the simple object designer and some other things, and then suddenly I found myself in the need of a new accountant, and I had a lot of stuff that needed to be posted, and I looked at this and says, you know what? Why an AI should be able to do this, right? But that being said, you couldn't really get an AI to do anything in Business Central. The current agent that Microsoft are working on are very specialized in certain things, and what I needed was something different. It seems to me the way I see it, all the stuff that Microsoft are doing when it comes to agents is that you don't really write instructions to them. You don't create the prompts. Magic just happens, which is pretty cool, but I needed to write an instruction saying, hey, this is what you need to do. So I took some of the stuff that I was building for the simple object designer and something else, and that's where we are now. Actually, this looks like the sun is getting in here. So here's the AI Accountant app. And the first thing that's important to mention is that this currently does not run off Copilot resources. It runs off OpenAI resources, so you have to have an OpenAI API account to use this. That may change in the future. Right now, Microsoft's Copilot resources, it's complicated, and I just did not have patience to work with that, so this is where it runs on OpenAI directly. Anyway, the way it works is both very simple and very complicated. Actually, I think it's mostly very simple, actually. You start by defining your workforce. The AIs that you want to you need for posting whatever it is that you need to get posted. I have defined 4. You could find 10. You could find less. That's all up to you. The way this works is that everything is actually done in prompts, meaning that we don't need to train or add knowledge about what you have in your Business Central in order for the AIs to work. Everything is actually done in prompts. And let me just walk through these super quickly. We got Finley. Finley is, you're the head accountant for the company. Finley knows about the other AIs. Finley knows about document types and so on. And if there's something else that we should give Finley instructions on, we'll just write it in plain English. Finley has 3 bodies here. The first one is Kenzie. Kenzie knows stuff in Business Central. You can ask Kenzie, what bank accounts do we have? What expense accounts do we have? And so on. We'll see that in a minute. Lotta is the opposite. Lotta can put stuff into the general journal. So you can give Lotta data and saying, hey, post this, or at least put it into the journal. So the app is not posting anything. It's preparing journals, and then right now in the current beta version, you have to post yourself. And then we have Wisely. Wisely is the auditor. Wisely, let's check Wisely's instruction, because there's a checkbox here. So what's above this, the other AIs are informed that Wisely exists, and this is Wisely's job. What's below it is just information to the AI itself. So in this case, Wiley is the overseer, the auditor of the accounting process. Wisely must take a final look at transaction posted and evaluate if the team has done its work correctly. And then I just pasted in Canadian accounting principles found somewhere on the interwebs. So that's the workforce. The work, then that's the other thing you need to define, and you define work. You define a work type, and the work type is based on that. There's a lot of repetitive stuff going on in accounting, so if we have this thing that comes in every Friday, it comes in every Friday. It's the same instructions that are attached to that thing that comes in. So I have one here called credit card, and we can see that there's nothing really here, but two things: that we define which AI should be the initial AI that will start working on this. So again, you might define different AIs, and depending on what kind of work it is, you can give instruction and specialize the AIs what they need to do. This one has also using the Excel splitter. So if you give a Excel file with this workload type, then it will split it in. Instead of there's 100 lines, and going back to the thing about big prompts and all that good stuff, then it will actually split it into 100 different tasks and process each one individually. That's way more reliable than trying to have the AI remember what line it's gotten to and stuff like that. And there's also instructions with this saying that this is credit card file, you must post it, whatever happens. So let's try that. So I go into workload, I go new workload, I grab the credit card, I upload a credit card file. Here is my MasterCard file. And now I could just click process, and then everything is done, but what's the fun in that? So let's do the slow motion version instead of, that's debug run. So now we go in here and nothing happens until, see, for some reason you can't do that. You cannot resize. There you go. So I click next, and the first thing that happens here is that because it sees that, hey, that's an Excel file, let's split it because I activated the splitter. So now it will split the file. It will also just take a look at what's in there, so it will give you some nice information afterwards. So this is split it, done. We can see that it's split into 12 workloads. So if I go back out, we can see that there's now 12 child workloads. I can click on that and already see that, hey, somebody clearly read what's in it. So if I take the second one here, which is kind of fun, we can see that in the task description, the data is extracted from Excel, and these are just the column headings of this file. So there's the MasterCard, the transaction date, description 1, Storebæltsforbindelsen Korsør, meaning that's actually a bridge in Denmark, and the amount, and all is good. So let's do the slow motion thing again. So I click this and I click next, and then we turn on the initial AI. So the admin turns on Finley, and Finley says, let's break down the transaction. We got a credit card, we got a transaction date, description. The negative amount on credit card statement means that this is an expense, a purchase made using the credit card. We need to post this as a debit to a project expense account and credit to the MasterCard. Find the correct expense account. The description suggests this is a toll or bridge crossing fee. Storebæltsforbindelse is a great belt bridge in Denmark that would typically be posted to a travel expense or tolls and parking. So how many Canadian clerks just knows that, hey, this is a bridge? I think that's pretty cool. So Finley is asked Kenzie and saying, hey, do we have, what expense accounts do we have? So we click next. Kenzie is super fast and say, hey, we got all these expense accounts. So probably because there's expense in the word, or the subcategory has expense, or it figures out which one to use or suggest. So we go next. So the most appropriate expense account for toll bridge expenses likely 61,300 travel, since there's no specific tolls or parking account. Next, we need to identify the correct bank account for the MasterCard. So we ask Kenzie again for bank account. We get a bank account back saying, hey, here's a credit card, and we say next step. And let's see, where did that start? It started there. We have the following details. Class prepare the general journal for Lotta. Here's the information. So next step is to ask Lotta, so she added it to the general journal. So let's quickly check the general journal. And sure, there's a line here, the expense. So that has been added. So back to Finley, say this has been completed, all this is done. Now let's ask Wisely the auditor review this. Let's have Wisely the auditor review this transaction. Here's the information. We go on to Wisely. Wisely is typically slower because thorough and a lot of things to check. And there we go. So we get, let's audit, source data. This is what we know. Analysis, accounting principles, objectivity, debit credit checked. Finally, conclusion, the entry is correct and according with Canadian accounting principle, no changes required. Complete the audit. And Finley wraps up summation, saying what has happened and the task is complete. We can go out and we can see that the workload has been marked complete with the summary here. We can go and see that the documents created was this one, and we are ready for the next thing. So let's do a new workload actually. So new workload. Let's do the bank account one instead. I have a file for that also. So this one, I think. And we'll do the slow motion once more. So the first thing that happens, we're gonna split, because this was another Excel file, so we're gonna split it. That's been split. And we can see that there's some different things. And here is the funds credit transfer of 29/13/60 was posted. So let's take a look at that one. And we can see the description 2 TT1/datum. And remember, in the workload description, I gave the instruction set that if it's something with TT, that's a wire transfer from a foreign customer, so the name is typically after the slash. Again, plain English defining what to look for. So let's run the debug process here, and I say next step. Again, I could just have clicked process and everything would happen. So we turn on Finley. Finley looks at this. TT prefix and a datum indicates this is a wire payment from the customer datum. We need to identify the customer number. So we ask Kenzie for a customer number. Kenzie says that 10,000. Now let's find open invoices. So I ask Kenzie again, give me customer entries for 10,000. And Kenzie says, oh, there's a whole bunch of them. Here you go. So now Finley looks at that. Let's see where we are. So we want to match it. So we have a payment amount. Closest open invoice is this PSE 1032.32. The payment is $6 less than the invoice, likely due to a bank fee or short payment. For now, we'll apply the payment to this invoice and leave the remaining open. So we prepare the journal, and then we need to figure out, hang on, what bank account is this? So Kenzie says, oh, this is the checking bank account. We could also just have told in the work description, this always comes out of the checking bank account. There's no reason to go and look for it because that's it. And then we ask Lotta, hey, now we're ready, post this thing. So we go next step, that has been posted. And Finley says, huh, Perfect. Now we ask wisely, can you audit this? And again, this is the step that takes a bit of time. So what is the app doing? The app is orchestrating all the things between the AIs and managing the data and being able to get data in and out of Business Central. But the actual work that is done based on the instructions that are put into the system. So now we can see that Wisely come back and checks for all the things and says this seems correct, so approved. And it goes back to Finley and says summation, this is done, or the task is complete. We go back, we can just take a look and see that the payment from customer was applied. So let's do, we have time, we can do one more. So let's do one more. So if you notice, I had another type called MISC. And MISC is basically just do what you're told, kind of thing. So we go back and then we say new workload, MISC. And then I go down here and says, on February 25th, debit $3,400 from wages and credit the checking bank account. That's an instruction. And you could go ahead and go to an account and say, hey, do this, right? So now we'll, instead of just doing it, because now you've seen the debug process so far, so now I'll just click process here. Process this workload, yes. So what the app is doing is that it kind of tells you what is going on while it's going on. So you can see what's happening without the same thing that if we did this in slow motion. This is done. So let's go and take a quick look at this. Documents created, wages 24, bank account. There you go. On the 25th of February. So that's the AI accountant, and still very much a beta product. I have posted several months of stuff for Hogarth.com, at least created the journals and with a minimum check and corrections actually produced journals that my real accountant then looked at and said, oh, that's fine, post it, which is intriguing. But the whole idea about this app is not to solve a specific thing. The whole idea is that you have a case, you put in the prompt, you give the instruction. So let's say that we were working in the perfect accounting department. If you had an accounting clerk, that clerk would never do anything without a written description of what to do. So you would have instructions saying that this is how you handle the intercompany turnover month, work in progress posting, whatever it is, that you get a bunch of data and this needs to be posted. That's kind of what the app can do. Getting data in from less than reliable, and when I see less than reliable, I mean the case that I have is that the bank I use, the online stuff never works. The Yodlee stuff always breaks because my bank will insist on two-factor authentication, and then Yodlee doesn't like that for more than 2 days in a row. Anyway, I need a new bank. That's a different video. No, that's not a video. But the idea is that you can just give your instructions here and let the app do the work. And so I promise that if you want to try this out, so the app is very much in beta, and I'm not even sure how the final packaging should be. But if you want to try this out, you need to check the link under the video, and there's instructions on an email you need to write to get a test license key for this. And in order for you to use it, you also need a OpenAI API account. I can say that on the days where I have tested this the most, I managed to spend $4 in AI credits. That's the most AI bill I have accumulated for a single day using this app. Your mileage may vary, but from that it's not that expensive. So if you want to try it out, let me know. And if you think I'm mad, that you put that in the comments also. And if you need some actual AL hacking, then this is the video for you. Go check that one out. I'll see you there. Take care. Bye.